Welcome to Living the Pharm Life, the podcast where we talk to the thinkers, doers, and trailblazers who are shaping the future of pharmacy and healthcare. I'm your guest host, Claire Reyes, a fourth-year professional student in the College of Pharmacy. Today's guest is someone who is redefining what it means to be a pharmacist and a leader. She's a creator, an educator, and an advocate for students everywhere. Please welcome the founder of Learn with Libby and one of Pharmacy Podcast Network's 50 Most Influential Leaders of 2023, Dr. Libby Shelton. Libby, thank you so much for being here today.
I'm happy to be here. I needed an excuse to come back to campus.
Do you miss it?
I do. I was going down memory lane as I was driving across and my way around Indiana.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. I'm glad you're back. So, I want to start at the beginning. Where did your passion for pharmacy come from?
Yeah, so thinking back to that time, it really started in high school. I had a love for chemistry and I had a wonderful AP chemistry teacher. And I told her, as I was thinking about future career opportunities, I told her, I was like, I'm thinking about chemical engineering. It'll be a good way to still combine my love for chemistry. She was like, I think you should consider pharmacy. And I'd never thought about that. So as I was doing, different visits and tours for different schools, I was looking for pharmacy programs. And I fell in love when I came to Purdue. And so I was able to attend their admitted students day, and we did a pharmacy type workshop. And so I did that, but I also did the chemical engineering one. And comparing between the two, I discovered that pharmacy seemed like a better fit for me and kind of what I wanted out of a career, just to serve others in that regard and still use a little bit of chemistry. So
yeah, I love that. That's honestly fairly similar to kind of my the beginning route of ooh, what do I want to do with my life? So yeah, I definitely relate to that. So when it was time to select a college, how did you know Purdue was the place? Did you have a moment that just clicked for you?
Yeah, so I was looking obviously for schools that had a pharmacy program and that were close to home. So I'm from the Chicago suburbs. So Purdue was just far enough away, but not too close to home. So that was perfect. It checked that box. It had the PharmD program, which a lot of other schools offered something similar, but maybe not exactly a PharmD program. And so it checked those boxes. But when I went on my tour of the school, it was probably maybe the third one that we had gone on with my mom, and we're walking through the Union actually, and she stopped and she leaned in my ear and she whispered, and she's like, "You're going here." So that kind of made the choice for me. But no, I was really happy, just as the tour guides were talking and I got to meet more of the faculty in the College of Pharmacy, and just hearing their stories and how much they supported students and wanted them to succeed, and just the community and the pharmacy family that we always talk about. I was like, I think this is it.
Yes, that's wonderful. I'm glad your mom already knew that you were going here.
Yeah. She made a good choice, though.
Exactly. She was just like, I don't care what you say, you're going here. So you were a first-generation college student, and that's a major milestone on its own. Can you take us back to those early semesters at Purdue? What was the adjustment like for you, especially balancing academics and life outside the classroom?
Yeah, I think that coming in as a first-generation student, I couldn't rely on, my parents to give me advice. They'd never experienced college life. And so I did have my brothers, though, and so I asked them all sorts of questions, being nervous about, what the future may hold, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. And so I was also very introverted and very shy too. So going into a Big Ten university with lots of people and not knowing anyone who came from my high school was pretty intimidating. But I think the best thing that I did was I lived in the honors dorms. And so using that as a way to meet people helped me get out of my shell. And then so one of the things that I knew I had to do obviously in college was academics, that's your focus, that's why you're here, right? So that was my main focus, but meeting other people who were involved in lots of student orgs and stuff helped bring me out and get me more involved, because I didn't exactly realize that student orgs would be a big part of my development throughout my time at Purdue. I just thought you go to college, you do school, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a big adjustment for me. I'm recognizing that I wasn't just in student orgs in high school just to get into college. Like it was
Yeah.
there was a bigger picture here in the overall professional development that it would provide. So yeah.
What student orgs were you in?
Yeah, so I participated in the Industry Pharmacist Organization,
Yeah.
which kind of foreshadows my future a little bit. I was also involved in like the Pre-Pharmacy Association,
Oh, right.
and so also like any like admitted students and like participating in that and getting to share all the wonderful things about the College of Pharmacy was something that was really exciting for me too, as like an ambassador of the college. I'm like running through the list. All the things.
I know, it's just like going down, just trying to remember back like a few years too.
Yeah. I'd say those were probably the big ones. And then I was heavily involved with the Academic Success Center on campus.
Oh, wonderful.
So it kind of got my passion for like teaching from there. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, you kept yourself busy then.
I sure did after I learned it was like a good thing to do.
Yes, I agree. So very similarly to how like you started off with like, oh, I really like chemistry and everything. I had a very similar story where I fell in love with like chemistry, biology, and this was actually happened in like middle school. So since I kind of had like I knew that I liked science mostly, I was like, okay, what careers could I go into? I was thinking like medical field. Originally, I wanted to be a veterinarian. Went very far left from that. As much as I love animals, I just couldn't bear the thought of like having to do some of like the gross things involved with it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what's something that's not as gross? I'm like, okay, I could see myself being a pharmacist. And so what kind of solidified the idea for me of being a pharmacist was actually this Japanese graphic novel. And it was about an apothecary in like a faraway kingdom, and I just loved her character so much. She was able to help people with her knowledge, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. And so by 7th grade, I was like, okay, I'm being a pharmacist. There's no other option. And so all throughout high school, I really just focused on like the classes that would help me get into like Purdue specifically. I don't know what it was. I just kept myself on track with Purdue's like program, and I only applied to 3 colleges, 2 in Indiana and 1 in Kentucky. And Purdue was my number 1 choice. And when I got in, it was very, very exciting. But it was also a bit of a challenge with COVID.
Yes.
I know. So have to throw that one back out there. It's 5 years ago now, but my senior year coming into my freshman year of college, it was just COVID. So a little heartbreaking to think about. It's like, I want to say that your freshman year of college is a very pivotal moment in your lifetime. And I eventually did find like my home and my place here, but it did take a little bit longer than I would have wanted.
Yeah.
But the College of Pharmacy was very supportive in everything. They did have like a lot of student organizations that I could join, and that helped break me out of my shell. Like you had a similar thing. I was not involved in the industry pharmacy organization, but one of my good friends is, so I learned a lot about that. And also just like, I was in Phi Delta Chi. Well, I guess I still am. I did pre-pharmacy club for a little bit, and then I joined the Student Diversity Council later once it got kind of up and running again. There's honestly too many things to list right now.
I can relate.
But yeah, just finding my place like through the organizations and like pharmacy, like we were kind of forced to be close together, but at the same time separated with, you know, pandemic restrictions. And also Purdue had BGR. Did you do BGR when you came here?
I did. How was that when like the COVID transition?
It was interesting. We sat outside a lot.
I'm sure.
We sat outside, wore our masks. We couldn't like sit in the dining courts all together. So we just had to like get our food to go. So that was very, very interesting. Much has changed since then.
Yeah.
We weren't like, there was like a certain number of people that were allowed in different rooms. So depending on like how big or small the room was, you could have like maybe 4 to 15 people. It was not ideal for a BGR group to like hang out.
Yeah, you couldn't be in like close proximity with each other and sort of bonding that way. But I'm sure you still met people. And
Yes, I did. Some of my best friends to this day are from BGR. But we managed. We played card games and such in like the lobby. We made do, right? So now thinking about your growth during that time, how did Purdue and the College of Pharmacy help you build on your strengths and identify areas for growth and help you keep moving forward?
Yeah. I think one of my strengths, even though I am an introvert, is just connecting with people. That's my favorite thing to do, building community. And so as also a first generation student, I wouldn't be where I am today without the mentorship of others and people, pouring into me and supporting me. And so Purdue helped me identify that that was one of the passions of mine. And so through being a peer mentor, once I got into the PharmD program, I was able to continue to cultivate my mentorship style and also ultimately kind of led to Learn with Libby and what I do now and the work that I do in my day job too. It's all about mentorship and supporting other people. So
that makes a lot of sense. So I'm glad you had the opportunity to be part of the peer mentorship program.
Yeah, and I think also in terms of building my skills and identifying areas of growth, being part of IPHO, I was talking to all sorts of industry pharmacists. They talked about how communication is a key thing in industry. You're working with all sorts of different people with different backgrounds. And so being able to flex to everyone's style is a big part of that. And as someone who is an introvert and was terrified of public speaking, I knew that that was an area that I wanted to grow in, especially hearing multiple speakers for our IPHO events talk about that. And so I ended up taking my job at the Academic Success Center to grow in that area. So I became a supplemental instruction leader, leading those study sessions 3 times a week to force myself into the uncomfortable and get comfortable with it.
That's a really smart way of doing it, just kind of making yourself do it.
Yes.
You can't just bypass the hurdle. You just have to head straight for it.
You gotta go through it. You can't go around it, can't go over it. Nope. You gotta go through it.
Barrel through. So it's remarkable that you didn't just push through the challenges. You created something entirely new to help others. And that's how Learn with Libby was born, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
So can you share how that all came together?
Yeah. So as a pharmacy student, I was learning so much clinical information, as I'm sure you are, especially on rotations now. And I wanted to do something with it that would also serve others. So obviously not ready for clinical practice yet, but I wanted to do something that could support other people with all the things that I was learning. And so one of the ways I thought about doing that and also gaining some more leadership and being able to own something myself was creating different study guides and then just sharing them on the internet to support obviously my peers and maybe other pharmacy students elsewhere. And so that's really how Learn with Libby started, just as a way to support others and kind of do something with all this knowledge that I was getting from the College of Pharmacy. So yeah, over time it's transitioned a little bit and evolved. But that's really how it started.
Wow, look at you being an entrepreneur.
It was just for funsies at that time. No business intent, but that was part of the evolution, so.
That's true, but it came from good intentions and it's just grown since then. So now Learn with Libby is more than a platform and it's a whole community for personal, academic, and professional growth. So what's that evolution been like?
Yeah, so as I was sharing and creating these study guides, I really wanted to make them really aesthetic and pretty. That's kind of in my nature. But one of the things I learned is it's very time consuming to do that.
Yes, it is.
And so balancing classes and orgs and all the things, it became a little bit overwhelming to do. And so I kind of transitioned my Learn with Libby page from being about posting these resources to more just sharing my journey as a pharmacy student. And through that experience of sharing what I was going through, I was able to connect with other pharmacy students, of course, at Purdue, but also beyond in different states across the country and even globally. And so that was a really awesome experience. And so I was hearing what they were going through, some of the challenges that they were having, some of the things that they learned and how they were being successful as a student. And it made me realize that there was kind of a need for more guidance and visibility of the pharmacy profession and what we do, what our schooling looks like. And so that's kind of how the evolution started in just hearing other people's stories, recognizing that oh, they want more support or guidance in this area. I know a little bit about it. I'm not an expert, but I can share what I know. And so that's how we sort of got to where we are today, where I host all sorts of workshops and things, just to provide that guidance to students and recent grads that are looking for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're like talking about visibility of pharmacy, because I do know a lot of patients really don't know what we do. So I'm glad that you have that platform for everyone to see, and like even more than just a resource for students, alumni, anyone, honestly, anyone in the pharmacy profession. So what are your main goals with Learn with Libby? How do you foresee that changing as time goes on?
I think my main goal is just to grow community. I'm all about support and supporting one another. I don't have all the answers, so I also pull in all my friends and things that have better answers than I do. So just building the community is something that I'm looking forward to doing, and I think as time progresses, who's involved in the community may change as I get more experience, right? Right now I focus primarily on supporting students and recent grads because I've been in their shoes, so I can speak to those experiences. But I think as I grow, the people that I support may look a little bit different as I get more experienced and seasoned along the way. So something that I'm looking forward to doing right now, focusing on my support of students and recent grads, is partnering more with colleges of pharmacy and different brands and things that I can bring to students to support them on their journey. So that's something that I'm excited about and passionate about.
Well, you've got a really strong foundation so far, so I'm very excited to see how much you expand and grow. And maybe I'll hear about it in like other colleges of pharmacy one day.
You just might.
And then I can say I interviewed her. So when this was just a spark of an idea, study guides and social posts, did you ever picture it growing into what it is today?
Not at all. Absolutely not. I was just doing it to, also review some content and stuff and like help myself study. And I never thought there would be like an entrepreneurial backbone to it in the future. It was just for fun and to support others. And so I think that's still the main goal. Like my purpose is always to empower others to thrive any way that I can. And so that's always the focus. But now being able to pursue entrepreneurship and learn what that's like.
You've got it. I believe in you.
Yeah, so it's easy to take myself back to where you are, Claire. It wasn't too long ago, but what do you think your future plans look like?
Oh, I've actually been asked this question multiple times in the past 2 weeks, and my answer every time is I don't know. Which I have found out that is okay that I don't know at this stage. A lot of people don't know at this point in their life. But I have some interests here and there and a little bit of everywhere. So I'm keeping myself open. Like industry is an example. Like maybe I'll go into industry. I don't know. Maybe I'll go into the hospital. Maybe I'll go into community. I don't know. I just know that I'm still learning about myself and what I enjoy with pharmacy. If I like patients, if I don't like patients, if I like working specifically with like doctors or anything like that. But yeah, it's up in the air. The future is unknown, and that's okay.
I think that's the beauty of pharmacy, though, is you could do anything.
Yeah, I feel like I can do anything. But that is also one of the main reasons why I chose pharmacy as my profession, because I knew that like if I didn't know right then and there, I'd be able to find what I wanted to do. And that's something I'm very passionate about, is making sure that I'm doing something that I enjoy and not just doing it just to do it.
Yes.
Or like that's what someone else has been telling me to do. So I can see the passion you have for helping others succeed. How does this relate back to your passion for pharmacy?
Yeah, well, I think back to the oath of a pharmacist. It's about serving others and what we do, and I feel like that's my mission in everything that I do, from the teaching that I do, my current job, Learn with Libby. It's all about serving other people and giving them the resources that they need to thrive. So I think that's where it relates back to pharmacy in a non-traditional sense, because in a traditional sense, I'd be, serving patients, making sure their healthcare was optimal and they were getting the right outcomes. But on this side, I get to do something a little bit different, but still making sure that people are reaching their goals, whether it's health-related or not.
Yeah. So kind of like a same answer, different equation. But yeah, I can definitely see that. I recently did an episode about the oath of the pharmacist. Well, I guess it wasn't recent, but we did an episode about the oath of the pharmacist, and it's always about people first and how we can continue to grow as pharmacists and give the best to the people around us.
Absolutely.
So I'm definitely in agreement with you. So let's talk to the students listening, especially those in high school or early college who are still figuring things out, kind of like me. I'm not in early college though. So what advice would you give them as they try to find their own lane?
Try everything. Just approach everything with curiosity, and know that you're going to fail at some point. But failure is your first attempt in learning. So that just means that you're going to learn something from that experience. You're going to learn what you like, what you don't like, what you never want to do again. And I think that's one of the things that's kind of guided me. As someone, a lot of us as pharmacists don't really like to take risks because we're thinking about patients. And so, you follow your guidelines, you do what you're supposed to do to avoid risk, but you do a calculated risk, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is when you're trying these different things, exploring. It doesn't hurt to have a conversation with someone in a different field of pharmacy, just to learn about what they do, and it might spark some interest, spark curiosity for you. And I also think you don't have to fit into one box either. So one of the things that I experienced and I kind of learned about myself through my time at Purdue was just that I loved business, I loved psychology, and I loved pharmacy. And I didn't know if I would ever find a way to like intertwine it all. But I think I found it. And that might change and shift over time. But I did like my business management minor at Purdue when I got elective hours. And so that was one of the ways I pursued that. I have a publication with the psychology research lab instead of something pharmacy related. And so Purdue really helped me just discover these pieces of my life that I enjoy and now get to like bring into my everyday life. Professionally and personally. So
wow, it's like you read like my entire timeline of being at Purdue and like all the things that I've learned, because I agree 100% with failure being your first step at learning. I have failed numerous times, and every single time I make a mistake, I'm always just reminding myself it's just an opportunity to learn. This is how you learn best. You got to make the mistake for it to happen. So I love that personally. So we've talked a lot about Learn with Libby, and you stayed active in pharmacy too, though. So can you walk us through your pharmacy journey since graduating from Purdue in 2023?
Yeah. So once I graduated Purdue, I unfortunately had to leave the Midwest, but it was again one of those opportunities to try something new. So I moved over to the East Coast, and I now live in New Jersey. And so I completed a fellowship with Rutgers University and Daiichi Sankyo. And so at Rutgers University, I participated in teaching. I got to precept students, run a professional development course, all sorts of fun things there, in addition to my oncology role in training and development. So I was focused on training sales reps, market access professionals, in addition to our medical affairs teams within industry. So I've done a whole lot in that time, but it's been really exciting just to teach others, obviously in an academic setting with Rutgers, but then also in a corporate setting as well. So I think the thread there is definitely love, teaching, and education for sure.
I think so. I can agree with that. But it's really cool that you've been able to find a way to like just mix all your passions into one. And that's just how the world works sometimes. Sometimes it's just destiny, right?
Yep. Thinking back on my journey, the things just lined up the way that they were supposed to. And so I always remind my mentees that everything happens the way it's supposed to. And when you look back on your journey, you'll be like, that's why that happened that way.
At the time, it doesn't feel very good.
No,
but
it
then
does
you're
not.
just like, oh, maybe I did need that. So I think we've all learned a lot of things. So did industry always interest you? And how did you find this area of pharmacy was right for you?
Yeah, I think I was open, like I've already mentioned, just curious what was out there. And my initial pharmacy experience was working as a tech in a free clinic. I volunteered there as a pharmacy tech, and I just wanted to help patients in need. And that was something that was really important to me. And I wanted to serve patients, but I realized that working in a community setting or a hospital setting, I could only really serve the patients within that institution.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to find a way to have a bigger impact. I'm all about impact. And so as I was learning about industry, I was the work that I would do in industry would impact patients in a region. So the US or even globally and all around the world. And so that was one of the things that kind of drew me into industry.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as I pursued like the business management minor and explored those different electives, that it was a good way to kind of like combine my skill set, bringing that pharmacist clinician perspective to the business side of things is something that I love doing, because as pharmacists, we're very patient centric.
Yes.
And sometimes when we work with our business colleagues, they're not so patient centric. So offering a different perspective so that we can continue to serve the people who need it most.
I don't know that much about industry, and so hearing you talk about like more of the different facets, it's very interesting. You get to learn a lot.
Yeah. I can always share more if you want.
Yeah. Hey, you're being a mentor right now.
It's habit. Can't get rid of it.
Okay. So fun fact time. I heard that back when you were a student here, you actually pitched the idea of having a college level podcast. Is that true?
It is, but it wasn't just me alone. We had the whole committee.
Oh, wow.
And it was things that we had talked about. So it's amazing to see it in action now and get to be part of it, because I was in my final year, and so I didn't have the opportunity to like really build it, but it was something we talked about and what it would look like. And I had done like research and met with different pharmacy podcasters that I know through the Learn with Libby platform, and I got to learn like, okay, what are you guys using? How do we do this? Like, what does this all look like on the back end? And so, yeah, really just happy to see it come to life.
Oh, well, I'm very glad to hear that. So when did you find out about Living the Pharm Life whenever it launched?
I was like, I stay pretty active with the Purdue pages. So I believe I saw the first episode. And so it was just really exciting. And I was like, wow, so professional. I think that was my first reaction.
And look, here you are, full circle. You're here as the guest. Maybe you'll be the interviewer one day. Who knows?
Who knows?
Any favorite episodes so far? Don't know if you've watched many of them.
Yeah. One of my favorite episodes is with Dr. John Allen. Some of my mentees had worked with him at his previous institutions, and they said like wonderful things about him. So I think it was a great way to hear about his story and how he ended up at Purdue and his passion for really like the next generation, which is something that I also share. I always talk about like the next generation of PharmDs, and like I want to empower them with the skills and tools that they need. So I really like that episode.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'll have to go back and like listen to it.
It's a good one.
I do know Dr. John Allen. He's one of my current bosses.
Lovely.
Yes, exactly. So as tradition on Living the Pharm Life, we close each episode with a fun question.
All right.
So are you more of an early bird or a night owl?
I'm a wannabe early bird. It like goes against like everything that my body tells me. So I'm definitely a night owl. I do my best work in the dark, in the late evening. So yeah, I would say I'm definitely a night owl for sure.
I think I'm very similar to you. I'm definitely a night owl, but I want to be early bird.
I try really hard to get up at 5 a.m. and like have that like be like my dark hours to work, but not so successful most days.
That's okay. That's okay. It's just not in our nature.
Stop fighting my nature. Yeah.
I've been getting up recently like very early at like 5 a.m. for my current rotation. And it's nice. I like the quietness of the morning and like the drive where there's minimal traffic.
That part's really nice.
But at the same time, I wake up and I said, why am I awake?
Yes. It's tough. It's tough when you're fighting against biology.
Yes, exactly. Well, Libby, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your insights, your energy, and your journey with us. You've inspired so many, and it's been a joy to hear more about your path.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm just excited to be here back on campus and to get to learn more about your journey as well.